Today marks what has become the now traditional oval race of the season. Yet it was last week that saw the notorious big one that's usually associated with oval racing. Fingers are crossed that our drivers don't witness a massive wreck 2 weeks in a row as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Pocono is an oddball of a circuit. 3 corners, none are identical, and straights long enough to make airports jealous. It's going to be a weird one, so let's head to our track guide to get a little more familiar.
Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania is probably one of the most unique oval tracks in the country and has a long and storied history of racing. Opening in 1971, they wanted this place to be different, so why not make it have 3 turns? That's right, a triangle. But isosceles triangles are boring, so let's model each turn differently with different radiuses and banking. So around here, you have this incredibly long front straight, known as the Long Pond Straight, 3,740 feet long and 100 feet wide. It's known for the incredible fanning out that happens in starts and restarts, but you have to get it sorted before you get to turn 1. Turn 1 is banked at 14 degrees, modeled after the old Trenton Speedway. It gets tight quick, and you need to pick the right line to be fast here. Your lap depends on it. Turn 2 is banked at 9 degrees and inspired by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's fast and quick, and if you hear somebody refer to the tunnel turn during the race, it's turn 2 they are talking about with the tunnel to the infield running underneath. Turn 3 is only banked at 6 degrees, and it's modeled after Milwaukee. It's long and sweeping, almost feels like it won't end before you jump back onto that truly endless front stretch. Pocono is most known for stock car racing, but it was originally designed for open-wheel racing, and USAC, CART, and IndyCar all had tenures here. Today, we race on the new version of Pocono and iRacing. With its repaved track surface and redone interior walls, it's as fast and tight as ever, and we'll be sure to put the tricky in Tricky Triangle.
Well, Christian, you actually have experience here with this car at this track, so what are we going to see?
Well, I think it's going to be very different to what you're used to seeing on an oval, that's for sure. Especially with these old cars, they don't obviously have really any downforce at all. So instead of just sort of 1 or 2 corners being a proper corner, every single corner is a corner and a passing zone actually in this car. So that's pretty good. You can definitely make passes down into turn 1 and into turn 2. You can also make passes into turn 3, but it is a little bit more tricky because obviously you've only got that shorter chute. But the straight's very, very long. Draft is quite powerful in this car. You will see a ton of 3 and 4 wide, that's for sure. And hopefully we will still have a big pack after the first couple of laps.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping that we don't lose too many early on, but let's take a look at the championship real quick here. And up at the top, Teemu Väskälänpää. Look at this, 2 points ahead of both Trangarade and Tixier. Some of that has been helped by the drop weeks being taken into account. Hisada only 4 points back as well. And then Martin Granberg kind of rounding things out. He's been hovering around up at the top, but needs a little bit more to get involved. What about in the F2 championship?
Well, over in the F2 Championship, Jorge Neva is still actually the leader. He's got 16 points on Bill Wright, who's back there in second. Matthew Maudsley still in third, just 1 point behind. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, he's a further 5 points back in fourth. And Gary Ho is actually moving into top 5. He's 35 points off the lead, though.
And as for the Nations Cup, Finland still leads, but the United Kingdom has jumped up into second place. Singapore down into P3, and Germany sliding down quite a bit here into fourth. The United States has been hovering at 5th place for quite some time. We'll see if they can get themselves any higher than that. And because this is such an unusual race, why don't you run us down the race details here, Christian?
Well, so it's round 9 of 12, so obviously only got 3 weeks after this in the season, so we're at that 3/4 mark, really. 36 laps, actually quite a long time, and a bit of a twist here, so no cautions today, but there is open setup and no spare car. So if the pack does get broken up, there is absolutely nothing to bring it back together like you might be used to seeing in a conventional oval race. So qualifying is actually very, very important here because you just don't have the time really to make up any lost ground.
Yeah, that'll be fascinating to watch. We, of course, saw that last time when they raced at Indianapolis, that it became a matter of trying to stay up with the lead pack. But as we watch them come down the main straight, looks like Raphael Dorado currently has the provisional pole. This is Glenn Becker, who has put his first lap in, and that was a 1:8. That's actually well off the pace, interestingly, so I'm not sure if he had a bit of a mistake in there. Hisada, who won the last oval race back in Indianapolis, is only good enough for 10th on his first time around.
Yeah, and the margins are very, very fine. So especially turn 2 was kind of always the one that I found very, very tricky because it invites you to really push it. But if you get in too deep, you have to really, really kind of park the apex and you lose a ton of speed on exit. And you don't think it would hurt that much because the run down to 3 is quite short. But I actually always found it was turn 2 where you kind of have the biggest chance of losing a lot of time. There's quite a few different ways you can run 1 and 3, especially 3. You can kind of run a high line and get a big run if you need it down the front stretch for a pass into turn 1.
Claridge just took the pole away from Dorado by 22 thousandths of a second. And he's still got a few rivals coming in. Vascalampi up to 4th on his second lap. Checking to see if there's any fast drivers still looking to set a time. Looks like Tixier still needs one as he's... Well, I don't think he's going to be able to get around for a second lap, actually. It will be mighty close, that is for sure, as Prela comes through. And it looks like that is good enough for 11th for him as Robert Plumley puts it into 14th.
Yeah, and Toga Hisada has actually moved up to the top 5 as well.
Yeah, it looks like based on the time left, Tixier is not going to be able to get around a second time, and he's only good enough for 15th. That will hurt on his championship hunt unless he can really climb his way forward. We're down to the last 30 seconds of this qualifying session. Looking to see who still has the ability to complete this lap. I see Salgado and Scheller coming through. They should be able to make it, but after them, that is questionable as we see Don Peak cycling around. His both laps are done, and it's going to put him into 35th.
Yeah, definitely Tixier is kind of the one that's maybe further back than we would expect here, that's for sure, and obviously championship-wise, that's really going to hurt.
Andrew Mitty coming across, and I think he's run out of time. Yep, he does not get his second lap. So time to go through our starting grid for today. It is going to be Mick Claridge on the pole. It's Raphael Dorado starting from second with Ove Trangrade P3. Teemu Vascalampi will be 4th as Hisada was good enough to jump up to 5th in his second attempt. Michael de Turk will be P6. Then it's Bill Tyler starting 7th today. Martin Granberg, who we mentioned in the top 5 in points, good qualifying in 8th. It's John Olsen starting 9th and Xavier Sanchez P10.
And Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, he lines up in 11th. That's good for his F2 points championship. David Presley is in 12th. Gary Quillen, he's lining up in 13th. Hoya Niva, the driver who is leading F2 points, he's actually back there in 14th. Robert Plumley, driver with the surprise top 3, lines up in 15th today with Sebastian Tixier. We talked about him. He's lining up in 16th. Matt Wright and Rauli Wellblanc lining up 17th and 18th. Miro Haraski and Michael Grissinger lining up the back end of the top 20.
Laust Olsen starts from 21st. Then it's Glenn Becker in 22nd. You got Bruce Nelson P23 and Colton Conover in 24th. After that, it's Marco Ravioli in P25. They've got Matthew Maudsley starting to his outside. Andrew Mitty starts 27th. Eugenio Massa 28th, and then the last 2 rows in the top 30. Your last 2 in the top 30 are Gary Ho and Randy Huff.
31st, Christian Eschner with Stefan Schneller. Alongside him, Andreas Bruno 33rd with Emmanuel Perra in 34th. Magnus Anderson and Don Peak, last driver to set a qualifying time, he's in 36th. Robert Reynolds, the first driver not to set a time, 37th. With Darrell Weiner in 39th, I believe. And Andy Scott and Jack David Spickett rounding out the top 40.
A lot of drivers out there today. as we get a nice close view of the iRacing pace car. But as we start to get rolling on a rolling start here today, I want to mention our sponsor. Make sure and check out the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. So as we head around the track temperature today, a nice middle ground 86 Fahrenheit for our drivers, 30 Celsius for the metric friends. So not really, I imagine, anything to write home about there, and hopefully will not become an issue for our drivers. But setup so critical on the oval side, and even though they're willing to share info here in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, Christian, I mean, how much do you think someone can steal just by finding that one click in that one spot?
You can definitely find a little bit, I would say. The ranges are pretty narrow now, especially on things like camber, air pressure, and whatnot. A couple of people might remember my disconnected ARB setup that was sort of cranked all the way over to one side. It kind of stopped people from doing that now, so you can't do things like that anymore. But yeah, gear ratios is where I would say kind of the big advantage is probably to be had here, because obviously every corner is different and it's quite compromised in that sense. So you sort of got to pick where you want to be fast while also leaving enough gear for passes in the draft.
We saw NASCAR having to shift a little bit when we were out, of course, at the LA Coliseum, and I'm sure there's going to be shifting have to be done here as the green flag is out and they start to accelerate away. But who is going to be able to use the slipstream, and what will we get into turn one? As it looks like Claridge is retaining the inside, but it is to his outside. Dorado tries to see if he can find the speed. No dice. He cuts back underneath, though, and he might have the shot off of one.
Yeah, this is the thing. You can get a big run down the backstretch, but then into turn two, it's very much one line. You've got to be very, very careful here, especially going side by side. You'll check up everybody in the pack behind you.
We had our first big wreck, and unfortunately looks like it took out about 5 or 6 cars toward the back of the field. Some are going to try and get going, but up at the front, they're unconcerned as Dorado has the lead. Claridge trying to get underneath, but around his outside over Trangrade is going to try and challenge. That's Togo Hisada behind them in fourth, and once again back onto the very long front stretch.
Yeah, and it's basically impossible for the leader to get away here, and we're just going to see this the entire race unless something breaks them up.
Looks like Claridge can lead back into turn one once again. Ove Trangrade usually pretty quick here on the ovals, and almost contact there between Dorado and Claridge, nearly making contact through one. Thankfully gave him a little bit of space. Hisada manages to get underneath of Trangrade, gets into third. Now he's got a huge tow as well off of McClarridge. He backs out of it.
Yeah, you can see through turn two how much this is going to slow him down. It might actually let Claridge get away a little bit. Doesn't seem to have taken much advantage of it, but now everybody's stacking up for that second spot into turn three.
So they come out of there back onto the front stretch, and Hisada seems to want to lead. Is he going to be our Takuma Sato here? Is he just a master on ovals? And it looks like he might, as he wants back-to-back wins in the first season of 2022, finishing off 2021 with a win back at Indy. Down to the inside goes Trangrade. Looks like Dorado is continuing to try to hassle McClarridge, but for now, Claridge is continuing to lead. Dorado's going to change that.
Yeah, you got a really good run there, especially out of the bottom of turn one. I wasn't really expecting that. I thought Claridge would kind of have the momentum on the top line.
So they come out through to over the tunnel turn. Let's not forget, it's not just those four involved. Vascalampi's back there, Michael the Turk. You've got Martin Granberg still hovering, Bill Tyler, who's usually pretty good at these ovals. And Tixier is starting to come forward. He's finding something back in the end of this front pack, which really goes down to 14th with Marco Salgado at the very back of it. And I gotta think, it doesn't look like these guys at the back are out of the hunt by any stretch of the imagination, Christian.
No, they're absolutely not, and that's the thing. You know, with these races on ovals, if you're still in the draft, you're pretty much still within the fight. But as we're seeing, it's very difficult to actually kind of maintain the pass. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of swapping going on, but there's not really that much total advancement from people. The only person who's really gone forwards is Tixier. He's up 8 spots from 16th to 8th.
And we've been riding on board with him, and the Singapore driver has just been picking him off. You can see him into the corner. Look at that. He is much stronger into the corners, although he looks way high up here, all the way out to that third lane. And I'm not sure that one quite worked out, but it certainly looks impressive on the way into the turns.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's the deal through turn 3 there. There's sort of 2 lines. There's that one right around the bottom, and then there's that third lane. And obviously, if you're passing, you can use that third lane to take a lot of momentum down the front stretch. You see him going very, very high in turn 1. Now, this wouldn't normally work, but it's working out for him right now because everybody's kind of bunched up ahead and they're all stacking up.
Now, a few drivers have been lost because of that opening incident. Laust Olsen, Matt Wright, Michael Brissinger, and Miro Praski are all on pit lane. Unfortunately, a few others might be down there. I'll need to double check to see if anyone else had some repairs. So, wow, we are 3 wide coming down the short chute. Not often you see that one. Someone 4 wide, and this is not looking good as someone nearly makes contact. That's Vascalampi, and he's going to bang wheels here side by side with Tixier, who is still on a charge. That is crazy stuff, and we are only on lap 5.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the luckiest contacts I think I've ever seen in this car. The only reason that wasn't a huge wreck is because somehow they managed to hit directly wheel to wheel, both front and rear at the same time.
Wow. Okay, so let's calm down. Let's hope that we don't get too much of that, because we want to see a finish here, boys, as we come down the backstretch once again. The long pond straight taking them into turn 2, and for the first time in some time, the leaders have gone single file.
Yeah, it was very wild for a while there, but now everybody seems to have just calmed down a little bit. I'm not sure whether just having so many cars 2 and 3 wide for that last lap has kind of split them up a little bit. It looks like there wasn't really many attempts for a pass this lap.
And Tixier still trying to make moves here. He's in 7th place, so he's up 1 more. But he's fallen back from the pair in front of him. You can see a little look from Granberg now on Michael de Turk, and now a poke to the inside from Dorado. He'll manage to get underneath Togo Hisada through 1 and 2, but Hisada actually looks pretty strong there on the high side, at least mid-corner, coming off. He starts to pick up speed, but there goes Dorado. Almost looks like his gearing maybe is slightly different.
Yeah, Dorado's getting some really nice runs coming off the bottom of turn 1, and I'm surprised because there you would really think that Hisada would have been able to fight back into turn 2. But the other thing is, it's possible that drivers are kind of just not wanting to run the top in 2. It is very, very dangerous, so if you're going to give up some time, it's earlier in the race.
Ooh, Tixier, I think, pushed it a little too hard into the corner that time. He loses a couple positions. He was almost into the wall. He's lucky that we don't have too many marbles yet out on the track. And as we get more of them going side by side into the first corner, that's Trangarade and Hisada. Hisada to the outside, 3 wide, in fact, farther back into the corner. It looks like Tixier there once again, right in the high line as Sanchez goes in the middle, and down at the bottom, Vascalampi.
Yeah, and Tixier was kind of in a bit of a bind there. Obviously, he was trying to get around 2 cars at the same time, and the only option he had was to go to third lane, but it did work out quite nicely for him.
As we continue on, this is essentially a 16-car pack. Up at the front, Hisada and Trangarade once again going side by side. Trangarade way to the outside. He's going to lose his spot as Michael de Turk, for the first time, pops into the top 4.
Yeah, and I think that the top line through 3 isn't really the place to be, but this is going to be huge gaggle now into turn 1.
Including Tixier back into 7th, looking for the inside. Usually a hard charger on the brakes. Not as much when he's on the inside. Seems to fare better on the outside there. And this is allowing the top 3 really, to start to break away slightly.
Yeah, and this is where you can kind of get everybody working together a little bit, because this has really broken up the pack. The top three is, if they don't go side by side, they might actually be able to escape.
So as we come down the short chute, what's going to happen on the main straight? That's where they got to get that slipstream back, just chucking it into the corner. Ove Trangrade trying to play catch up, and on to the pitch straight they go. It is up at the top. Dorado leads Claridge, leads Hisada. A break of about half a second down to Trangrade, and the time is just now starting to come down. By the end of it, he gets it down to about 4.5 tenths, so he did gain a tiny bit.
Yeah, you kind of saw it there in the top three. There was the opportunity to go side by side in the one, but they chose not to. I think they know that if they don't fight, they might be able to break away, especially with what's going on in the second group. Tixier's not looking content to ride. He looks like he wants to get as far forward as he can, even if it's at the expense of losing that lead three.
Well, Trangrade, in the meantime, is just about up to them. And behind, Tixier going to send it in underneath De Turk. De Turk in the blue and green, and as they cut down off the corner, two different lines between the pair of them, but they come out single file, and Trangrade this time 4.5 tenths off. He gains even more. A little bit of a look to the inside from somebody in the line, but gets back into it. And Sanchez now is going to be the one that tries to charge this one on Vascalampi. Backs out of it as Vascalampi shuts the door.
It looks like that second group has now reformed with the lead three.
So let's see if Sebastian is done with his charge. Is he happy with 6, or does he want to try and get up to the very front? Ooh, a little bit of a checkup behind him. Granberg catching out Vascalampi, and here's another look from Seb, and he goes to the inside of De Turk, and that is looking like that is job done very quickly this time. Oh no, he's starting to lose it. Can he catch it before it hits the wall? No, into the Armco, and all that hard work is undone in an instant.
Yeah, extremely unfortunate. You saw it just sort of snap away from him right at the corner exit. It's really, really easy to do at Pocono here. Especially as you kind of, I mean, he was trying to make a pass. You know, it's understandable how this works out, but obviously really disappointing. I mean, points-wise, that's going to be massively detrimental for him.
Yeah, he does have the drop weeks to help out slightly, but but it was starting to go pretty early.
Yeah, you could kind of see it early in the corner, but it looked like he was so intent on continuing the pass that he just thought he was going to be able to ride that out, but you know, just got slightly too far, ran out of lock, and that was that.
As we watch the perspective from De Turk, yeah, there goes the rear end, and from there it's good night. Thankfully, the New Yorker was far enough to the outside. He didn't get collected, and it was a single car incident. So right now the order at the top: Dorado, Claridge, Trangrade, Hisada, your top 4. In fact, looks like De Turk still 5th single file before it starts to involve some battling behind him. Granberg, Vascalampi, Sanchez, the one you see on the low line.
Yeah, and I think everybody's kind of not content to ride right now as we're about a third of the way through, but you know, everybody that's in this kind of lead draft, I do think has a chance to win the race.
I agree. I think this is not over by any stretch, because come those last 5 laps, gloves are gonna be off. Vascalampi now trying to battle with Sanchez. And as they come off of the corner on the top side, Sanchez trying to get the shot, shuffling it in front of him. The Finn tries to cover that off, but Sanchez using the slipstream, and he lifts a little bit. Now it is Ove Trangrade and Hisada down to the inside. Dorado and Claridge on the high side. We go 2 by 2 with a Noah's Ark. Looks like that's going to be
nice run.
Dorado, yeah, who comes out ahead on that one. Hisada going to plug up the hole before Trangrade can get in there, but that's going to put Hisada to the outside of the tunnel turn, and somehow it still works out pretty well for him.
Yeah, but you really don't want to be on the outside of turn 2. I mean, 1 and 3, there's a lot of track, but turn 2 is very, very single line. You're pretty much at the mercy of the driver on the bottom line, so you really don't want to be out there.
Got a car in the infield, we understand. We're trying to find who that was. Oh, that's Bruce Snelson, a lap down. I think he must have gotten into some trouble because he's coming into pit lane and the car was crabbing. So we'll try and figure that out a little bit later, as once again we go single file. I've been trying to figure out, it is of course Super Bowl weekend, and Rolly Wallbank, who hails from Club UK&I, has been shouting "Go Bengals," and I would expect Don Peak to be the one to be shouting that, as he's been sporting their colors in the car for the past week or two. But in the meantime, it's calmed down, at least for a brief moment.
Yeah, I don't want to say everybody's happy with where they are, but kind of does seem that way a little bit.
Don still out there rolling in 26th place, kind of in his own little small pack. He's got Back Row Bob, Eugenio Massa, and Jack Spickett back there, just kind of cruising around. Up at the front, it looks like we're going to swap around again. This time it is Claridge ducking underneath Dorado. Hisada going to try and get involved. And it looks like behind them, Trangeray deciding, I'm just going to stay single file watch and see how this plays out, as that is Quellen, who slides to the inside. He does not hit the wall. The good news for him is also the bad news, because he has lost group with the front.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. He was having a really good run. He was up there in 11th spot.
So Bill Tyler's still sitting there in 9th. He's been a bit quiet. We haven't seen him making as many moves as some of the drivers in front of him. Is he just kind of biding his time to wait for the right opportunity? Somebody nearly clipping the wall there. I think that was Trangrade. And then the Turk had to weave to avoid him. Thankfully, no incident. But Dorado is no longer just sitting nose to tail with Claridge. They have now swapped that lead each and every time they've come into turn one, and Claridge rides the high side to carry the speed.
Oh, he's hit the wall.
Everybody scatters to avoid. He tries to stay out of the way, and thankfully everybody able to get through. The question is, how damaged is the car from that?
He was up on two wheels for a significant amount of time. I'm surprised that we saw that from Mick.
And obviously you don't want any sort of aero damage on the car, but you hit the side. I'm trying to see. Yeah, there is some on the nose, weirdly. But it's his suspension that I'm more worried about. If he is handling odd, then that's going to be tough to try and stay up and be competitive with this group.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's okay. He's made it through 2 and 3 so far. We'll just have to see if he actually still has pace.
So Hisada now tries to throw his hat into the ring. Is he figuring it's go time for him? He's up to 2nd place. Dorado fighting with him. Granberg, how about that? The 15 into 3rd place now.
Yeah, Granberg's kind of snuck into that fight. We haven't really talked about him much, but he qualified up in 8th and has slowly moved his way forward. He's looking for the 2nd spot now on Hisada.
Yep, as they all dive into 3, Ove on the high side. And it looks like Martin Granberg's now going to be able to take 2nd place away. What amuses me is we're used to seeing Granberg with that number 1 on his car as the Turk now tries to get involved. But this is by oval license out here, so that's why you see Granberg with the 15. Wonder if he's... When was the last time he saw the 15 on his car?
Definitely going to be a long time. But then likewise, we've got Timu Vasilakis out here with the 37 on his car.
Yeah. So some of the Finns, maybe not as experienced here in oval racing, but holding their own. Vasilakis been quick today, down to the inside. That was the Turk just chucking it into the tunnel turn. Ove Trangrade is forced to give him space underneath, and it continues to swap around lap after lap. This car just, it's such a unique vehicle here on iRacing, and even on the roadside, it's usually its own beast. But here on the oval, I'd love to see more oval tracks being run by leagues with this car, because it just, what an unusual combination.
Yeah, I would actually kind of love to do a classic Indy 500 with this car. I think that would be really cool. I'm not sure I get enough people to do that with me, but I personally would enjoy that.
You and me, we're going to talk later. I like that idea too. So as we watch them come onto the long pond straight, for the first time in some time, Dorado's got a gap. So I don't think Granberg's going to be challenging here. And Raphael has looked like one of the strongest guys. But last time out, we saw one of the strongest drivers did not win the race. Because it isn't necessarily how many laps you lead. It's who leads that final one here in this style of racing.
Yeah, and kind of speaking about that on a little bit of a related point, traffic is going to be a thing, I think. It looks like 31st right now is 40 seconds off the lead.
That's a good point. And Ove is now going to go on the outside, or no, on the inside of Hisada. Sanchez is going to try and follow him through. How much does trying to follow another driver actually help you with these passes? Can you try and use them as a pick to get a spot?
It's helpful in a situation like this where he would have had the draft down there into turn 2, and that would have pulled him up instead of kind of being out there on his own. It looks like it might have worked. Yeah, Hisada's been shuffled out to that top line, and it's given the advantage to Sanchez.
Indeed, and also giving the chance for the top 3 to break away a little bit yet again, but we've yet to see anybody manage to hold that breakaway. They seem to be clawed back, not easily, I will say, but definitely with a bit of effort. And look at this front group, goes all the way down to, I believe, 15th now. Yeah, Marco Salgado, our last one. Actually, no, have they dropped? No, they have dropped. Excuse me. It's down to 12th right now. McClarridge the last amongst them.
Yeah, and Claridge does look like he has damage. He's kind of gone from being about 2 seconds back to 3 seconds back. So that hit to the wall has definitely hurt him.
Front right looks just a little wonky, unfortunately. So as they come through and onto the front stretch once again, onto the short chute rather, we come to Hisada, who sits now in 5th place, been shuffled back slightly. He's got Michael de Turk in a fight with Teemu Vaskalampi. Teemu backs out of it himself. Past halfway into this race, getting close to 10 to go. I got to think the risk factor for the moves that we see are just going to increase from here on out.
Yeah, and one thing I've been keeping an eye on is we saw early in the race Dorado had really nice drive out of turn 1 on either line, really, the bottom or the top. And I think that's kind of going to be the deciding factor here. Can anyone out-drag Dorado off of turn 1? Because if they can't, it's going to be really difficult to make a pass on him, I think.
Escalante thinking about it. Somebody up at the front of a Trangerade on Martin Gramberg, but Gramberg holds the high side. Looks like the slide job is indeed done, and Ove up into P2. We still have what looks to be 32 drivers rolling. 31, as you mentioned, are on the lead lap. And I think Stefan Scheller going to be our last one running currently, just trying to collect what he can from this race as this giant pack around turn 1 and onto the long pond straight once again. Trangerade looks low, but I think, almost wonder if he's just slowing himself by dragging the car. That was interesting. There was no slipstream to be had on the inside. So they now come out of the tunnel turn. This time he's got a shot, a huge run. And can somebody challenge Dorado? The 27 finds himself in 2nd place after some time of leading, and now it is Trangerade to the points.
Yeah, he got an amazing run through turn 2 there. Dorado looks like he's going to immediately go back for it on the inside here.
And somebody in the background, that is Prela. Prela finds himself way off course, and unfortunately he loses the draft from that as once again the lead goes side by side. Dorado wants it back, coming off the corner. He drifts high though, and he has to get out of it. Good save there from Dorado. Now Sanchez wants to take advantage of that. He wants to moat him more. I almost feel like now this is what they have to do, Christian. Dorado's been so dominant, they have to try and just kind of squish him back in the pack to make sure that he can't get the runs as we got another car looking to the inside.
Well, that's definitely true, but I think it's Ove that's going backwards. Nope, sorry, it is Raphael. I got the 4 and the 27 confused.
So Sanchez now on the inside. And it looks like Granberg now coming up to the outside and taking third away. They got a little 2x2 behind them. Shockingly, that is Hisada down in 7th now. He was so strong at the start of this race, and something has since happened. He still has laps to try and make it back up. We're going to be 10 to go at the line, but he's got to start making moves now.
Yeah, and that's really the thing with oval racing, is that it's all about positioning so that you've got a chance at the end. And obviously for Hisada, he's going the wrong way, but we have seen him up at the front, so it's possible to kind of reverse that around and get forwards. But at the moment, it looks like he's just getting really checked up into turn 3, but he might have a run down the front stretch.
Just an update, Marco Ravioli had a bit of contact with Colton Conover, both of them getting damage and Ravioli having to come to pit lane. I think Conover's still out on the track, as now Vascalampi wants to try and get involved down to the bottom. That was also Martin Granberg taking a little bit of look on things. Dorado leads, Trangerade leads, Granberg leads, Sanchez. Top group currently down to 10th place with McClarridge still kind of hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Trangerade, once again, getting a good shot off of 2. Almost wonder if he's found a little bit of a trick through there. You talked about the importance of that corner. He seems to have an idea of how to get a good shot off of it. Oh, that's a big bobble there from Granberg.
Yeah, and Granberg had kind of been checked up a little bit through turn 2, and that's what started this off. But now we've got 2 and 3 wide. Hisada's looking to the bottom here.
Hisada trying to make up those spots, but at the front, Trangerade underneath Dorado, and Dorado pinches him down. Looks like the Norwegian's not going to be able to get by the Club International driver as we come down the long pond straight. Hisada now 2x2. He's trying to work on Sanchez. So all the drivers in this group that you see, Dorado, Trangerade, Granberg, Vascalampi, Deturk, Sanchez, Hisada, Tyler, Olsen, and Claridge. There's your 10. Ooh, and now things are getting a little bit tense, and we're seeing some drivers take some gambles.
Yeah, Granberg's kind of going a bit too low, I think, into turn 2. Timu with a big bobble on exit. Sanchez now going for the 3 wide. He's going to the bottom in 1.
And also Hisada, who carries his speed well. He's got a good slipstream. Those two losing momentum down at the bottom as they have to go around a car coming out of pit lane. Hisada taking great advantage as he moves up to 5th. Tyler's going to try and do the same thing, it looks like, but he's still stuck down in 8th position. So it is Dorado, Trangerade, Granberg, Deturk, Hisada now your top 5.
Granberg looking through turn 2 again, going to the bottom, but just not really able to make anything work there. I think Ove's really, really strong through turn 2. Dorado's exceptionally strong in turn 1, and then everybody's pretty even through turn 3.
On to the front stretch, and Dorado, thankfully for him, sees the lap traffic pull off to the side. Now Ove wants the lead back. And more lap traffic coming up in front of them. Are they going to catch it through here? I think that's Enerson up in front of them, down to the bottom. Ove Trangerade is in front, but where is this lap traffic going to go? Is it going to pull off to the side? This is where you probably want to go to the bottom and let everybody pass the long pond straight, but he doesn't. He's going to stay up high. Everybody tries to duck to the inside, down through the tunnel turn. Can he hold that upper line? It looks good right now. Oh, it was a bad corner from Dorado. Here comes Trangerade.
Yeah, Dorado absolutely threw it in there to clear the lap car.
That's going to get him by. And I think everybody is thankfully past, but Granberg now wants to also overtake Dorado. down the front stretch, trying to deny the slipstream. Trangrade weaves to the inside. We now go 3 wide. Down into turn 1. Dorado briefly back to the point. Trangrade manages to get his nose ahead, still 3 wide behind him, and it's Martin Grandberg on the bottom who somehow finds it. DeTurk in the middle moves himself into 4th. Now we got another 3 wide behind them as it's still nose to nose between Dorado and Trangrade.
Yeah, Dorado looks like he's got a nice run out of 2, but we know how strong Ove's been off of 2 as well.
Coming down the short chute. The laps are ticking down. Hisada on DeTurk there, down for 4th place. And this time Ove Trangrade is up ahead, but I can't think that Dorado's going to sit there in 2nd here.
No, he's going to go for the move into turn 1. He's taking the bottom this time.
As they come down into turn 1. Still side by side. Traffic with a car missing his nose. That's Andre Bruno in front of them. Will he be able to stay out of the way? Traffic, as Christian mentioned, just everywhere at this point towards the end and playing a bit of a part in things. Down into the tunnel turn, and that is Dorado chucking it in once again, side by side between Trangrade and Hisada. Grandberg loses speed. Here comes Trangrade. There's the lapped car. Can he stay out of the way? He's trying to drift a little bit high, but it starts to compromise those running that high line.
Yeah, it looked like it almost checked up Dorado, but then it checked up everybody behind. And now we've got 2 wide for the... Well, it's going to be 3 wide. Hisada's going to the bottom now into turn 1.
And we are down to 4 laps to go. 3 wide. Hisada almost getting run into by Grandberg, who's in the middle. Grandberg sends it in as hard as he can. That drifts the car up, but it checks everybody up behind him. It works quite well, actually. Hisada can't do anything. Sanchez can't, so now Grandberg gets P3.
Yeah, but the big winner out of that was Ove. He kind of drove through the middle and was right up to the back of Dorado at exit, but Grandberg's looking to the bottom in turn 2 again.
Still some side-by-side. Sanchez and DeTurk back there in 4th position, weaving now, trying to stay out of each other. A little wheel-to-wheel contact could mean the end for not just them, but everybody behind them. They have got to be ultra careful. At the same time, they cannot give any quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the positioning is so important. You see Hisada, he was trying to fight for that 2nd spot, but now he's almost back to the 6th spot.
And there goes Trangrade. He and Dorado have been up towards the top, swapping that lead back and forth. It looks like it might be between them unless somebody can steal a march. As behind them, it is Sanchez and Grandberg, who are once again going to get some wheel-to-wheel action. Dorado retains the lead. Big slipstream, 3 wide for 2nd place. Grandberg and Sanchez on either side of Trangrade. Trangrade has to back out. Grandberg into P2.
Yeah, Ove the big loser there. I could see what Sanchez was trying to do, but 3 wide into turn 2 never works no matter what the car is here.
Now that sent Sanchez all the way back to P4. And coming up the inside, who is this? Is that Vascalampi? It is. Vascalampi, but he gets a bad exit and he starts to fall back, and now it's Grandberg's turn to try and catch up to Dorado, but instead Trangrade gonna push him back down to 3rd once again. Maybe he wants to down into turn 1, but that bottom line does not seem to be usually working for him. It does with some slipstream this time.
Yeah, I think he's going to be vulnerable now, though, because Dorado is going to tow Grandberg down the straight. He's going to keep him side by side. Sanchez going for the 3. He's going to make this work this time.
Unbelievable stuff here at the end of this race, and down into the tunnel turn. Grandberg holds him back. Sanchez, P3. Trangrade shuffled all the way down to 5th. Who is it going to be, and can anybody stop Dorado, who once again seems incredibly dominant here today? White flag is at the ready as they come on to the main straight. Dorado with a handy 0.3 of a second gap. Do they need to work together briefly to catch him?
I don't think they do, and I think Sanchez is looking really, really dangerous. He's been very strong that last lap. He's pulled some great moves. I think he can maybe steal this on the last lap.
Oh, contact back in the pack. That was Vascalampi and Trangrade coming together. Thankfully, no wreck between them, but Vascalampi's in the wall. He's going to collect 3 of them. And that is going to be Trangrade, Vascalampi, and John Olsen. But up at the front, it is Sanchez and Dorado side by side through the tunnel turn. Granberg into Turk also fighting. Here comes Hisada, shoot in the middle. He makes contact. 2 more cars getting collected as they get tangled. They are tangled up and still rolling. How did that work? Unbelievable. Up at the front, Sanchez is off of the final turn, but it's not over. Dorado could steal a run. Can he have enough momentum? No, it is Sanchez who wins. Wow. Bill Tyler with an impressive 5th as he jumps up right at the end. Turk gets a 4th. Granberg on the podium. Hisada, unfortunately, down to 6th. Mick Claridge somehow got up to 7th in all of that. And unbelievable stuff at the end as the drivers stream across the line. Let's watch that one more time. So we'll see from the white flag on here. This is where it all starts to set up. Let's watch Sanchez here, Christian, because this is the man of the hour. He's in 3rd place coming into turn 3 with 1 to go. And somehow he gets up to the point after this.
Yeah, and it kind of already started on that second to last lap where he made that really nice move into turn 2. That jumped him up into the 3rd spot. Then he got that move into turn 3 on the start of the last lap. And I felt like he was going to have a really nice run off of 1 because he was kind of uncontested. He went a little bit higher. Dorado went all the way to the bottom, but Sanchez kind of arced it down nicely. He got this really great run. And you know, with the draft and everything, it was obvious he was going to be able to get this move, at least an attempt. And Dorado went down to block it, but wasn't really able to fully kind of cover it off. And then just through turn 2, Dorado was kind of a little bit too nice to him, I think. He was really high up the track, lost all his momentum, and Sanchez just able to sneak by right on the bottom.
And you got to think if it wasn't for the contact there between Hisada and I think that was the Turk.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. I mean, these are linked, like completely linked for the entirety of that straightaway.
And still able to keep rolling. And Hisada did lose another position to Tyler, but he at least saw the finish as they come down to the line. And up in front of it all, indeed, Sanchez timing it perfectly, finding the track when he needed it into the daring tunnel turn and gets him the win. But that's going to take us to a break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Pocono Raceway. We saw an incredible oval round here and the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends, and these cars never seem to disappoint as Sanchez takes the win in that number 10 machine as Raphael Dorado was P2. It was Martin Granberg who finishes third. Dorado led most of the race but couldn't hold them back when it came time. Michael de Turk finished fourth despite nearly having an incident with one turn to go. Bill Tyler, P5, and Togo Hisada, who looked like he might be able to take back-to-back oval wins, only got sixth today. Mick Claridge back up to seventh. A little bit of damage cost him in the end. Robert Plumley, P8, was followed by David Prela in ninth, and Rolly Waldbank was 10th.
Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, he started 11th, finished 11th, but had a reasonably exciting race today. And then Gary Quaylen, he was also another driver kind of hovering around the back end of that top 10. He comes home in 12th. Matthew Maudsley, big mover, 26th up to 13th, along with Andrew Mitty. He went 27th to 14th as well. Colton Conover, he finishes in 15th with Kristen Eschner. Started 31st and finishes 16th. Huge moves up the field there. Gary Ho, 29th to 17th. Glenn Becker, he also went 22nd to 18th. Robert Reynolds did not set qualifying time, but does come home on the lead lap in 19th, with Eugenio Massa rounding out the top 20.
21st went to Andy Scott with Don Peak in 22nd. Randy Huff, P23, and poor Ove Trangray, the last car to finish on the lead lap, in 24th. Vascalampi, 25th today. Unfortunately, could not see the checkered flag with that wreck on the last lap. Same thing with John Olson there in 26th. Jack David Spickett took some repairs, got back out, finished 27th. Enerson, same deal in 28th. Andre Bruno didn't get to see the checkered flag in 29th. And Scheller did in 30th, 3 laps down. From there on down, unfortunately, almost all DNFs for the rest of the field. And it looks like our second place finisher, Raphael Dorado, ready to join us. And Raphael, congratulations on a podium, but I have to think that's got to be a little frustrating with how many laps you led out there that you couldn't quite seal the deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a bittersweet second place. But overall, I'm very happy because I haven't been racing for almost a year. So to be back already fighting for wins is a surprise for me. I expected to be more on the midfield for a couple of weeks until I get my groove back. I think I have the pace, but I still need to get that confidence to be better at racecraft and really going side by side with guys and being a little bit smarter with defense and offense and stuff like that, which is, I think, a result of being away from racing for so long.
I think you sell yourself a little bit short. That was impressive stuff out there today. That you managed to be up at the front for as much as you did. What did you do setup-wise on this one? Did you use one that others provided on the forums, or did you do your own custom thing out there? Because it seemed like we had a few different philosophies from people.
Well, I have to thank my friend Christian Challenger for the setup that he provides for the iRacing. I just used his setup, haven't made any changes, and it was good enough for me.
Wow. Well, there you go. Testament right there to Christian's abilities, as that nearly gave a win to the 27. But this was an oddball. We head back to more regular racing at Interlagos. So you're looking forward to that, or do you enjoy these oval rounds?
I do enjoy the ovals, but they are not my specialty, and I don't have, I think, the sagacity, is that a word in English? I don't know. To position myself, I guess, well when it comes to it on the oval yet. There is a lot of experience that is needed for that. I'm much more comfortable on the roadside, and Interlagos is my home race, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, maybe not just setups, but advice on where to place yourself. Christian, of course, a long-time driver on the oval side, so he could maybe help you out there. But congratulations on a second. Anybody you want to thank before you go?
Yeah, I want to thank the whole community for welcoming back so nicely. I want to thank, of course, Christian for making the setups now, which is, I mean, a great value that it's added to iRacing, that a car like the Lotus 49 has a competitive setup each week, so people don't have to worry about it. It sure saves a lot of time. So thank you, Christian, for that.
That was Raphael Dorado, and Christian is actually going to get a chat with another fast driver, Mick Claridge, who joins him.
Mick, I kind of feel like we've had this conversation a few times now where you've been in contention for the win, but then something's happened. I mean, today kind of looked like it was your own doing with the wall on the backstretch. Can you tell us what happened there?
Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. Do you know what it is, right? I've got my racing seat and I've got my mouse next to me in the seat, and I've just suddenly realised now what happened. Well, after the race, I realised anyway. If I right-click the mouse, the whole sim just freezes for some reason, and I can even get the hourglass thing come up in the Rift. And so that's what I did. I hit the mouse, the right button, and I must have clicked it again straight away with my left bum cheek, and restarted the sim again. So just a bizarre chain of events. This happened about 4 or 5 times now this week, because I've got nowhere to put this mouse, so I just leave it tucked in the seat next to me.
Yeah, that's definitely a strange one. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
But even after that though, it looked like you picked up quite a significant amount of damage, because I was keeping an eye on the pace, and you were about 2 seconds behind, and then you kind of fell back to 3. So it looked like it hurt the car. But at the end, you were able to hang on, and after a bit of carnage on the last lap, you're still able to get a top 10 with the 7th. So a pretty good recovery, realistically, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like you say, I got a bit of damage when I hit, on the rear, and it just pulled the steering in slightly to the left. So I was like steering down straight to the left, and but I mean, yourself, everyone knows who's on the service. If you get a bit of damage, you can normally learn how the car drives again, and half the times it completely changes the characteristics of the car. So it actually was faster going into the corners. I don't know if you ever saw me catching up with John Olsen there, but I was like diving straight into the corners. I just couldn't get off them. But it just meant that I was able to keep up. And I think I lost a bit of top end speed there as well. So I couldn't really do anything. I was just waiting for the carnage. I mean, everyone was all over the place in front of me, just switching all over the place in different lanes. And I don't know who it was that just got caught up in the last turn, but I've never seen that ever. I've never seen that in real life. I've never seen it on a sim where 2 cars just get locked together like that around the whole corner. That was just insane.
Yeah, that was with Hisada. There was kind of a 3 wide coming off of turn 2, and then he got latched across
I've never
the front.
Seen anything like that before.
I have never seen that either. I was fully expecting that there was going to be a wreck at any point, but it looked like Deterk pushed him all the way down the straightaway. And then as they got into 3, they separated, and I've never ever seen that.
Podium from that when I saw them come together, because there was 2 cars before that got together just before the last turn, and then once I saw the 2 cars going in together like that and getting locked, I just thought, well, I'll just drive around the outside of them, and then they just carried on going. But yeah, complete bizarreness today. Yeah, good fun though. Good fun trying to catch back up, after the wall hit.
Yeah, absolutely, and I've always felt like Pocono is actually really, really good fun in these cars, and we've kind of had 2 weeks now where it's been pretty draft dependent and with packs of cars and whatnot, but next week Interlagos, kind of back to normality, I would say. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's not much going on. You might get a few little sneaky moves up the inside into turn 1, but yeah, so it's a brilliant track. It's one of my favourite, and I don't know why, but it's always been a good track for me, same as Road Atlanta over the years. So yeah, if I'm doing it, I'm not sure I'll be doing it. I might be going on a mega bike ride, so not sure if I'll do it or not. Depends on the weather. But yeah, if I'm doing it, it'll be a good race. I'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely a good track, and if we don't see you, at least hopefully you'll actually be able to get your bike ride in. I know you've had some issues with that recently. So
yes, yeah. If I tell you about all of them, we'll be going into the camel race, so I won't even start.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. So, and on that note, before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just you guys, for putting on a great show this week and all the weeks you do. All the guys that watch. There's a lot of guys that watch. I won't name them all. Mackenzie boys, they're normally watching. There's 3 of them: Jamie, Steve, and Tony in Canada. Don't mess with them. Don't mess with the Mackenzie boys.
All right, we won't. Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us, and congratulations on the top 10.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
That was Mick Claridge, who wound up 7th today, and I guess that's making the best of a bad situation for him. But before we take off, I want to give one more mention to our sponsor, the Majors Garage. Again, click the link in the description below and make sure to use the Majors GSRC discount code to get 10% off. But also, thanks to Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Christian, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. Keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we mentioned, next race will be at Interlagos, Saturday, February 19th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Up next today, the Camel GT Series goes to Monza. We saw that last week for the Lotus 49s. We'll see how that fares for the Camel cars. That'll be at noon Eastern. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.